And welcome back live inside another edition of DETV Sports here on a Monday evening ahead of the Falcons-Eagles on Monday Night Football. The whole crew back together again. Jason McCall, Matthew Bauer, Dennis back behind the glass running the show once again here at DETV as we're live in the studios here in Wilmington. So we're going to recap, of course, the NFL Week 2, some other major headlines, including some breaking news from just a few hours ago about the Carolina Panthers. We'll dig into that to start. We'll talk a little bit about Tua Tagovailoa and everything that happened Thursday night as the Bills run over Miami down at the Dolphins' place at Hard Rock. But before we dive into all the NFL action and, of course, all the news around the sports world, we welcome in Jason McCall. Jason, is that a Falcons jersey you're sporting here today? I seen you're showing your allegiance to ATL tonight.
I'm petty. Yes.
But it has nothing to do with me, though, right?
Not you, but you know who you are. You all know who you are. You talk about certain people's teams. We don't even play you in your conference or your division. But tonight, I'm petty. And this is a prime time 89 rookie, just in case you know. Mitchell Ness out of Philly. Pun intended. I'm petty.
Ironic.
Dirty word.
There you go. And again, what's going to make it easy, though, Matthew, next week is that the Ravens got to go on the road and play Dallas. So he knows that the Eagles fans aren't going to root for the Cowboys against his Ravens squad. So he knows what he's doing out there. Again, and we'll get all Jason's thoughts on what the Ravens have done so far, his thoughts on tonight's game between the Eagles and the Falcons coming up. Matthew, how we doing here back on a Monday? I know it's been a tough go-around over the weekend for a lot of us. And if the Eagles lose tonight, we'll go 0 for 3 here in week number 2. Yeah. But how'd you get into anything over the weekend, and how you feeling today?
I mean, just irritated that my boys lost to the Vikings of all teams.
Sam D. Arnold, revenge?
To Sam Darnold.
Who you had on your roster, actually.
I don't know. It's just what it is, man.
We'll dive into that here a little bit. And we just got news, and we were able to tell Matthew before we started tonight that Deebo Samuel also will be missing the next couple of weeks with a calf strain that he suffered in that game against Minnesota. So things not looking up, especially for the NFL as a whole, guys. Injuries have been unbelievable here to start this year all across the board. So we will dive into that here as we get started. But I want to start with the Carolina Panthers, who just a year ago selected the quarterback out of Alabama. And in most cases, the consensus, you would argue in that case, the number 1 pick in the draft was Bryce Young. And again, a lot of people had him as that, supposed to be that franchise guy. The Panthers gave up all kinds of things to go get him. DJ Moore, the number 1 pick in this year's draft, a few other big picks that turned into some very good players. So the Panthers risking a lot there to draft Bryce Young, number 1 overall. Last year didn't go quite the way we had all thought it was. A horrible year. The Panthers ended up being the worst team in the league. And with that pick being traded, which would have been number 1 overall, the Bears received that top pick and drafted Caleb Williams. But for the Panthers, they made a change today. Bryce Young has officially been benched after a short, 18 games for the young quarterback from Alabama. You don't see that, and we were talking before the show. It's weird to have a team bench their number 1 overall pick that quickly, but obviously, guys, they want some results. But I want to give you some stats here from Bryce Young in just his short career as the starter in Carolina. Bryce Young has not thrown a regular season touchdown pass since last December against the Packers. So just some there. He's produced 4 interceptions in his past 4 regular season games, and he's averaged 4.4 yards per throw and 8 yards per completion so far this season. That from Mike Kay over there in Carolina. So things have, you could say have been awful would be a good way to put it. So the Panthers fans have been through a lot, Jason. You know, it doesn't seem like that long ago. Cam Newton was their savior, an MVP, took them to a Super Bowl. But there's been some dark times over there in Carolina after giving so much up for what was supposed to be the number 1 pick, the number 1 player in that draft. 18 games, and he's done. In enter the old veteran, the Red Rifle. Your thoughts on just the Bryce Young tenure to begin during his time in Carolina as a starter?
ASS. There's no other way to put it. I'm not going to say the word, I was going to spell it. But he was not the number 1 pick, consensus, to most people.
Not us.
Not us.
This desk.
It's not here. No, we actually know what we're talking about, so we did our research. Clearly they didn't. He's a midget, number 1. Can't see over the line.
And you mean he's height challenged?
Yeah, he's vertically challenged. Sorry, I don't want
to. Don't offend.
He's vertically challenged. But clearly he's spatially challenged the way he throws the ball over the field too. It's just it's not there, and
it's talent challenge.
Also, he's devoid of talent. Also, in
in
Carolina as well. I mean, even
right,
with the
that'll be
receivers,
good.
because you had to give up the talented receivers to get him. And what does he have to throw to? A receiver that's my age, almost, and Adam Thielen. I mean, come on, really.
Adam Thielen. So again, just to,
No disrespect to Adam Thielen, but
he's
he's my
good.
age now. You know.
Just to go off your point there, Jason, you know, it talks in terms of Bryce Young. We know he's vertically challenged a little bit, one of the smaller quarterbacks coming out. But, you know, not even that. You have guys like Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield that have a little bit of athleticism
He's not
that can
them.
make up for it. And that's
He's
my
not
point.
them.
And he doesn't seem to have that athleticism or that type of, you know, ability to make up for his lack of height, the arm strength, and, of course, being able to extend plays and get out of the pocket, evade sacks. He has not been able to do that. He really looks immobile back there. And, again, I hate to say unathletic about an NFL quarterback, but that's the way he's looked so far. Matthew, what do you think about Bryce Young's tenure here? They brought in Dave Canales, was supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. He did it with Geno Smith. He did it with Baker Mayfield last year. This was supposed to be, you know, his guy. I remember I had him, and I said it on the show. I had him as my coach of the year, as a big underdog this year, you know, maybe fixing that offense. Well, after 2 weeks, we can safely say it has not been fixed.
No, and the whisper words are can't play. I mean, look, at the end of the day, look, this is the thing. This is the problem with all these quarterbacks that we see coming out, especially. And look, I'm not picking on any schools in particular, but Alabama, I will point the finger. And we saw this with Matt Leinart. We've seen this with other guys. Look, when you have a ton of talent around you, things can be more forgiving. You can look a little bit better. I think Ohio State, there's been some problems with their QBs at times because they have a ton of talent.
He never had a good one.
Yeah, and then, you know, Stroud comes out.
Now?
Yeah, now. And that's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not in favor of the benching because here's why. Look, you got to find out what you got with this guy. You wasted all this capital to go get him. What are you going to do? You're going to put him on the back burner and then tell people, oh, well, he's fixed. We're going to bring him back out, and he's going to suck again. Like, at this point, you got to know what you got here. Is it a lemon? It looked like a lemon. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm just going to say this. Look, I don't know how NFL scouts do this. I don't know how, but whoever convinced them to move up should be fired, should pack their clothes, and be scouting a football team in Alaska. Most notably is like some real frozen tundra type team. Like it was like
Basically, you're getting exiled.
yeah, you should never ever
NFL Europe.
Yeah. It's like that Mission Impossible part where the guy messes up and he goes like, just mail him his clothes. Like, yeah, just mail that guy his clothes. Don't even come, bro. There's nothing here for you.
And to your point, again, is what do you guys think? Like, is this the right move? I guess is the question. We've seen 18 games, but when you give up that much for this guy and to start, and maybe if you have a young guy, maybe as a backup, maybe to see what he's got, you can do that.
Yeah.
But Andy Dalton, we kind of know his career is
He's done.
coming to a close, and not to say he's not better than Bryce Young because he certainly is. He is better than Bryce Young. But for the future of your team, what benefit are you getting
boy
out
got
of
an
starting
AARP
Andy
card,
Dalton
man.
this year? That's my
Andy Dalton
question.
got an
What's
AARP
the point
card.
of it? What's the point of doing it? Is it for the
Like
fans?
you're going from a Tesla to an old Buick. Like,
Yeah, what are we doing?
You can't do it. You're going to a gas guzzler, man. That is like Andy Dalton hasn't played meaningful football in like 5 years. Let's be honest about it.
And again, it's not even, like we said, he's probably the better quarterback here, but when you're the Panthers, do you want a mediocre quarterback to have another bad year? Or are you trying to plan for the future? And again, I think this has David Tepper's name written all
Trying
over
to
it.
win 5 games.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's your
That's
best
it.
that's your best case scenario. That's it. Like, that's what you're doing.
Just go get the big zero, bro.
I
Just
think
go out there and go.
You might
earn
as
it.
well just tank it, right? And
Yes.
Here's the thing. You have now damaged this young man's psyche for
Oh,
good.
absolutely. Yeah.
Like, his psyche is shot.
And again, we've seen guys
That
go
boy
elsewhere, and maybe if he goes elsewhere down the road in a couple years. who knows?
Elsewhere.
He cannot go elsewhere. His contract is too big to go elsewhere. He has to stay. He has to fill out that
That's
contract in
true about
Carolina.
that, too.
He can't go nowhere. No one's going to trade for him with that contract. He's the number one pick. That rookie deal, nobody's going to take that off their hands.
No.
This is like Trey Lance situation all over again.
Yo.
And it sucks.
And we got out fast.
It sucks.
Thank you, Dallas.
You know, I want to see that. Dennis, if you could do this research and get it up a point sometime.
Thank
during
you,
the show,
Dallas.
I would love to know what Carolina gave up as opposed to the Niners. They both gave up a lot to move up in both of those, respected drafts.
We didn't give up like they did.
No, it was- yeah, that's
however,
true.
I mean, San Fran's deal is looking a lot better than Carolina's now because what they gave up ended up being Deshaun Watson, so it hasn't worked out too well. So it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, you don't make this move right now. It's week 2. Like week going to week 3. It's a 17-game season. You weren't going to be good regardless.
No,
So it really doesn't matter.
That's my hope.
You have not put anything around him for him to be successful. Your O-line is very suspect.
Well, that's what they went out over the offseason did. They signed 2 of the best guards in free agency. They had Iggy Ekwonu from a couple years ago. They tried to bolster the offensive line. They go out, they trade for Deontay Johnson. They look at him. They
go
draft
get Miles.
Xavier Legette in the first round
go
of the
get Miles
draft.
Sanders.
So they went out and they did the Jonathan Brooks. They went out and got a lot for that offense.
Who's their OC, though? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Well, Dave Canales is their new play caller. And he's supposed to be the guy, the man, the myth, the legend.
He is not.
And again, does that say more about him or is it about Bryce Young? Because the last 2 years, Canales has been phenomenal. Won the division with Tampa Bay last year and Baker Mayfield, and then did magical things with Seattle 2 years ago.
Baker Mayfield.
I think this is more about Bryce Young. I really do.
Baker Mayfield actually has talent.
Oh, I agree with that too. Yeah.
So it's not hard to play with Baker Mayfield with they actually have weapons and they actually have Mike Evans. Rashard White,
one of the best weapons.
Curtis Godwin.
Surrounding.
They had Cameron Brate for a little bit, but I'm saying like Tampa Bay had weapons, so no, it's not. It's both. It's Bryce Young and Dave Canales. You cannot make that up there. You can't.
And Matthew, let me ask you this: so you're a Carolina Panthers fan now, and you just read this news. You know, you were all excited a year and a half ago, right for the draft. Bryce Young's holding up that jersey. You're feeling really good as a Panthers fan. He got the number 1 quarterback in the draft.
I wanted Stroud.
Yeah, we do.
You actually say Stroud.
As a Panthers fan, they were probably, this. What do you think of this? Are you like, you're excited maybe because you might be better, or are you like, man, we wasted all that, Anthony? I mean, it's got to be a pretty bad feeling.
If like my grandma always had a saying, like, if you're gonna do the job, do it all the way. Like, you're already screwed. Just go ahead and just take your money off the table and get the Vaseline, bro. You're already done, bro.
And
I
agree with
it's already
Matthew
done,
there,
bro.
and I agree with you, Jason. Everything you guys have said. It's just that we don't see teams do it like this often.
What, you gonna get a kiss now?
To cut the cord that quick.
Gonna go kiss with it?
I don't blame them. I'm with them.
Yeah.
But man, for them to cut ties on
You're
this
gonna
guy,
go from 2 games to 5 games now.
games.
Woo. Hey, come on, bro. What are we doing here?
But I will say, just quickly on the rest of the season, we're just looking at in terms of vacuum here, fantasy, whatever. Panthers offense gets an upgrade. Andy Dalton, it will be significantly better, I think. I promise you, if you have Deontay Johnson or some of those other offensive pieces.
Deontay Johnson quit on the Steelers. He's not going to play for them either.
I think he will be.
saying.
I think he's going to be playable going forward. Deontay Johnson, I mean, Andy Dalton can throw the ball.
He quit
He
on
can
the
throw
Steelers. If you quit on Mike Tomlin, you shouldn't be in the NFL.
Let me ask you this. Just here's the problem. So, yeah, I think probably his teammates are probably sitting there saying, "Hey, I like it."
I think so,
But
too.
the young guys are saying, "What are we doing?" Okay, so now I can catch something on the slant.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's the key, that you can catch something instead of nothing.
Yeah, but
which is what they've been catching.
Yeah, but like Adam Thielen even said, it's a whole issue with them. They've got several issues.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're right. It's not all Bryce
It's not
Young's
all Bryce
fault.
Young, but I will say this. I agree with Jason. The psyche is it's done. There's nothing you can do but just sit there and just
Eat that contract.
eat the contract and eat the cake, Tina. That's all you can do.
I agree.
And wait till
and that's gonna
Texas,
be
the
tough
Texas
to do.
QB comes out. That's all you can do, man.
Hold on, which one now?
Quinn Ewers.
You got 2 now. You got
I'm going with
Arch-
Ewers.
Arch is playing now.
Archie
He
is playing.
looks good
He looks-
too.
he
We're gonna
looks
get him. He's gonna be a fun
He's
evaluation.
Both tutties.
Yeah, he looks
Sorry,
good.
my bad.
But I'm just saying, like, it's done, bro. Just go ahead and just earn your number 1 pick again. Like, there's nothing else to do here. Like,
Tough situation for the Carolina Panthers.
Is it?
For sure.
it's not tough.
Well, no, I'm saying it tough as to
Like they
go through.
Like
They
everybody
really-
should be
They
fired.
messed up.
Yeah,
And
everyone.
that's
Head
my
coach
point.
should be fired. The GM
Well, they
should be
did that
fired.
already. They fired.
No,
Frank
this one
Reich.
should be fired too. He
He's
should
been
already
there
know.
for 2 games.
He should already know he's gonna be fired though.
So I'm gonna
Bad
put a
situation.
bow on this whole thing so we can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have to move on.
Until y'all do right by Cam Newton, everything you do in Carolina's gonna fail. This is your fault. Deuces.
Your Gers. There we go.
But he need better hat selection. I'm just saying, Cam. And you looking like the Mad Hatter out there from Alice in Wonderland. Bro.
By the way,
I love you, Cam, but come on, bro.
If you're in Atlanta, you want to have a nice spot to go to, his Cigar Lounge Fellowship, 5 stars. Just saying.
I ain't never been. Shout out to Cam.
Let's head back now to Thursday night, battle between the Dolphins and the Bills, and it's been a year removed. Tua with a full season last year, but took a hard hit during the Thursday night football game Of course, saw some of the things we saw when he had that major concussion 2 years ago. No timetable for his return, but another tough scenario for the Dolphins and, of course, for Tua's health here, guys. Not sure when we're going to see him again. There's been a lot of words around the sports world on if he should retire. A lot of people have given up their opinions, saying that they do believe he should. Some obviously have said maybe he can keep playing. We'll see what the doctors say. He's meeting with neurologists early this week. We'll see if they have anything different to say. But Tua's already come out and said that he wants to keep playing, even though a lot of people said that maybe he should hang it up here with all these concussions. I believe the third big one for him that he's been diagnosed with. Jason, initial thoughts on what Tua went through on Thursday? Maybe your kind of thought process on what the Dolphins might do going forward. And do you think that Tua should continue to play? Coming off that now $222 million contract he just signed. And again, if he's medical advice from the doctors, if that is for him to retire, he will receive that money because it'll be a medical advisor to retire. But if they tell him that he can keep playing and he chooses to retire, he will forego all that money. Not that the money has anything to do with it. You don't like to think that it would. It's all about health and stuff like that. But what do you think, Jason, about the situation with Tua and everything he's been through?
The irony of DeMar Hamlin putting Tua out the game and possibly for the season for his career. The script writers, Ripley's wouldn't believe this, like that happened. Like the fact that it was DeMar Hamlin that made the hit. And the hit wasn't actually that bad. Tua has never learned how to slide. This has been his problem. And he already had the first down, and you still went head first for extra yards. You had the first down 3 yards before you ran into DeMar Hamlin. So the thought process isn't there. This is Tua's problem. He does not think plays all the way through all the time. You've seen this from Alabama through his career with the Dolphins. Tua should retire. He's in his 20s. Money will be there. What you don't want, I'm going to bring up a fictional character, but it'll make this make sense to a lot of people. What you don't want is an Apollo Creed situation. You go in the ring, you fight somebody you shouldn't be fighting. They knock you out, and that's your last punch. Next time we see you, we're putting flowers over you. You don't want that with Tua. I do believe he should retire.
And Matthew, you have any thoughts on that situation there? You heard Jason say it. He thinks maybe it'd be best for him, his family, and friends if he were to hang it up, focus on that health. What do you think about Tua Tagovailoa? Do you think maybe he should hang up those cleats or, again, just sign that brand new contract with Miami? He says he loves playing, and we'll see what the neurologists say, but what do you say?
I mean, he should, but he won't. I mean, he's going to be a guy that wants to be put out on the shield, and I get it. It's part of what we build with sports and athletes, that gladiator mindset. But I do think that, especially football players, there needs to be gladiators, but they need to be also at the same time having one foot in the future. It's good that in the current you want to fight and you want to continue on, but at this point, it's not even about throwing touchdowns or any of that. It's about what your quality of life is going to be 30 years from now. I mean, he's made, I think he's $70 million right now. I think I think he's going to get 50 this year. I think that roughly puts him pretty good. Like $125 million for his career. If he was to walk away, I just think at this point, what more does he have to do? I mean, he has a legendary college career. I mean, he's going to be a guy that, like, we see Ron Prowlis out here for Notre Dame still talking about his, and Ron Prowlis was bad as a Notre Dame QB. He still makes money off Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
This guy will be making money forever for the University of Alabama. He's at a premier school. He did some amazing things there. I just don't know what else there is. I mean, yeah, I get it. You didn't want to go out like this. You had visions of multiple Super Bowls, maybe an MVP. I get all that, and I'm not using Jason's guy as a point of reference, but I remember reading a story in which Jamal Lewis said he went into the mall and he couldn't remember where he parked his car.
I remember that. Yeah.
And at this point, I've never seen Jamal Lewis, and I'm not making fun of this, I've never seen Jamal Lewis do fingers multiple times. And they're saying that's a usually telltale sign of somebody who's has some serious disruption in their brain. So I don't know how many more hits he can take. And I think with the hit, it wasn't an impactful hit. We've seen harder hits. It was just, this is what happens. You get one, you get two, and then they become more and more prevalent with less energy having to give you one. And I just think, how much more time do you want to keep going down this road?
And I want to add another point. The NFL has tried to become so safe that it's unsafe. Players need to practice. Players need to play in the preseason.
Absolutely agree.
The reps, your body doesn't absorb the tension as fast or for a longer duration of time than it would when you're actually playing meaningful snaps in the preseason, when you're actually doing your 2-a-day practices. This is a result of that. All the injuries, not just two of them, all injuries right now, I believe, are the result of there is such thing as too much rest. It's like the NBA with load management. There is such thing as too much of this. And I do believe that these things are starting to backfire, not only in the NBA, but now it's trickling down to the NFL, where your star players are getting hurt earlier and earlier and earlier in the season. And because you're simply not playing them, so their bodies, so you want them to sit, you basically want them to do 7-on-7, no contact, for 13 weeks. You want them to throw them into a game 100 miles an hour with a 250-pound linebacker coming at them. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think you're going to see more and more injuries until we see players actually play more time in the preseason. It's what it is.
Yeah, and to your point, this year's been like no other in the past, right? We just had Cooper Kupp is set for IR today, Puka Nacua IR, Christian McCaffrey injured, Tua Tagovailoa injured. I mean, the list, Isaiah Pacheco, broken fibula last night in that game. I mean, the injuries have been unbelievable so far to start this season. So hopefully that
Justin Jefferson has a quad injury.
Justin Jefferson,
he tried to play through it,
to trend downward here. Tyreek Hill had that hand earlier. So hopefully that starts to trend downward. But again, we'll see what Tua decides to do going forward. I'm sure some news on that coming. But again, no timetable for Tua's return just yet. So we're going to keep it rolling here. 7:06 Eastern. Eagles set to take on the Falcons tonight later on Monday Night Football. Let's dive into some of our recaps from Week 2. Jason, I want to start with your Baltimore Ravens.
We have to.
We have to. It's early on in the year. A tough one against the Chiefs on that final play last week. And we sometimes, it takes teams a little bit to get over something like that. Do you think that had any type of layover, taking the Ravens, who was there again for their home opener against the Raiders, and the Raiders go in, get the win in overtime? Just wanted to get you, so you can let everybody know at home. They know how big of a Ravens fan you are, and obviously you know a lot about that squad. What do you think happened in that game against the Raiders? They're 0-2 now. What's kind of the season outlook for Baltimore going forward? Again, very early on through 2 weeks. Just want to get it through your eyes.
Very early. The offensive line is trash, and it's been trash for 3 seasons, but it's been hidden by multiple running backs and by Lamar Jackson. The Ravens' offensive line has been trash since 2021. We'll just put it out there. You're rotating people. You're not playing the right folks. And, again, this goes back to Harbaugh's poor clock management. You don't challenge the clear and obvious catch by Devontae Adams, which caused you to lose a timeout, which you only have 39 seconds left to lift the field, try to kick a field goal. We're starting to see signs of age with Justin Tucker. Even since last year, he's 1 for 9 now, and his kicks over 50 yards or more. And you didn't run Derrick Henry enough. His numbers were 18 carries, 84 yards, 1 touchdown. The game is close enough the entire game for you to run the ball. Not even being the closer, but the game was close enough to run the ball.
And they had the lead.
And you blew a 10-point lead with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter at home again.
It's supposed to be Derrick Henry time, right up by 10 in the fourth. That was the whole reason you go out and get a guy like Derrick Henry.
So, and you're not throwing to the tight ends early in the game. I don't get that. I mean, you saw a Mark Andrews sighting, and likely is clearly our number 1 tight end. But it comes down to play calling and time management. But another elephant in the room. Where the hell is the defense?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You lose Mike McDonald to Seattle. The defense was phenomenal last year through 2 games, not looking like the same. Is it personnel? Is it scheme?
No, it's scheme. The same players. It's scheme. The only player we lost was Patrick Queen. It's scheme. Yeah. And Trenton Simpson was supposed to be as equal or better than Patrick Queen in due time. So it's scheme right now.
So let me ask you this, Jason, before we go with the Ravens. Panic meter 1 through 5 for the Ravens this season, you still obviously think they have a chance to make a Super Bowl run.
I'm going to put it like this.
It's early.
The Ravens are 0-2, right? But we haven't played any division games. And let's just not forget that the Steelers are 2-0 and the quarterback is Justin Fields. It's not a shot, but it's a shot at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? Browns are a 1-1.
I think I also got Deshaun Watson. That's a shot.
Deshaun Watson, and the Bengals are 0-2. We're fine.
Yeah.
And I want people to remember this. All people talking trash about the Ravens, remember Lamar's record versus the NFC. And that record begins again 4/15 Sunday in Dallas. Lamar hasn't lost to an NFC team. Just remember that, folks.
And that's Fox's game of the week coming up on a Sunday. Now headed over here to Matthew's San Francisco 49ers, not 0-2, but a tough loss yesterday to the Vikings, who are now 2-0. Don't look, maybe Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell seems to be the real quarterback whisperer here the last few weeks.
No.
But the Vikings 2-0, Matthew, with Sam Darnold. A lot of injuries for the Niners this year. Lose McCaffrey. Ricky Pearsall's dealing, with that stuff off the field. Again, offensive line banged up. Ayuk, no preseason, no practice. Russ coming back in. We found out today Debo is out for multiple weeks. It's not a great start for San Francisco on paper and both on the field. Your initial thoughts from yesterday, watching that game, were you ever worried going in, or when did you start to panic during that game? And what's your panic meter like here for the San Francisco 49ers for the rest of this year?
I mean, I didn't have us going to the Super Bowl or nothing, so, I mean, it is what it is. But let me just say this. This is why I didn't want Ricky Pearsall. Because we had two biggest issues last year. It was the right side of our offensive line, and it was our secondary. And what happened against the Vikings? They slaughtered our line, and they went and let Sam Darnold look like Pat Mahomes. That's the problem at the end of the day. And look, we can talk about who's injured. We can say Hufanga's out. We can say Greenlaw's not there. Yeah, we can say all that. That's true. Yeah, we're a banged-up squad. But listen, at the end of the day, no excuses. We shouldn't have lost to the Vikings. And then, number two, this is why Brock Purdy has to prove at any given time now that he got to win. He got to win. If he wants to ever prove and dispel the idea that he's more than a game manager, he's got this is the time. You don't have McCaffrey, you don't have Debo now. Ayuk is rusty. That O-line on
Jennings is banged up too.
Jennings is banged up. So now we get to find out is Brock Purdy worth what I'm sure his agent wants him to be, which is $40 to $50 million. I'm sure.
That's a good point.
It's a lot of money.
And again, and to your point, that offensive line, Brian Flores' defense, 6 sacks in that game on Brock Purdy. And again, Purdy, 101 quarterback rating, looked good, completed 78% of his passes, just 1 touchdown though, and had the turnover on the interception as well as a fumble loss. So to your point, Matthew, again, those turnovers will kill you. That defense got after him again, to your point. And I want to ask you guys this now, because we've seen the Vikings are now 2-0 with Sam Darnold, who threw for 270 and 2 touchdowns. Again, a quarterback rating of 110. He's been phenomenal. They add Aaron Jones. That run game's been going. The offensive line has been strong, but the defense under Brian Flores the last 2 years has been very good, and they've shown up here to start the year. We've seen what the Saints have done in their first 2 games. 2 absolute blowouts. One over the Panthers, and then beat them down for the Cowboys here on Sunday. More surprising of a start, I'll ask you both, and which team do you think can keep it going the most this year between the Saints and the Vikings? 2 teams we didn't expect much out of that have looked really good through 2 weeks in the NFC. Which team do you think is going to be able to sustain that?
Saints.
Who down?
Clear as day. Saints.
Now they look really good.
Listen, Derek Carr, I'm sorry. I wasn't familiar with your game. Actually, I was, but you're playing like Derek Carr back in like 2016, 2017 before you broke your leg and then you missed the playoff run.
Yeah,
this is that Derek Carr we're seeing right now. And the way they put the pause on Dallas, as we go into this game right now,
from the start.
And Alvin Kamara, where the hell have you
That's
been?
my guy. Let's go, AK.
A hat trick, 3 touchdowns in the first half?
Yeah, I think he finished with 4 in that game. 44 fantasy points if you're a fantasy.
This was 2018 Alvin Kamara.
They interviewed after the game, and they said, a lot of people counted you out coming to this year. And he said, I guess I'm 29. That must be old in football years. And he said people have counted him out. He doesn't read news like stuff like that, but he says he feels fantastic. He's ready to have a big
I mean, this was the biggest upset of the entire day. I mean, we're going to be.
I think it's just the way they did it, too.
Now, I did take the Saints with the points, so they were plus 6.5.
Yeah,
So
I
had them covered.
Underdog. I think that they were at home.
No, they were in Dallas.
Oh my goodness!
I had them covering.
Wow, I forgot all they had.
I had them covering the
Beat 'em up.
spread, but the way they beat the Cowboys so bad. The Saints fans had a parade outside. You know, they had the second line music. They had a little parade outside AT&T Stadium. Had the whole band with them, like they were on Bourbon Street. It was amazing to see. However, we got to talk about this Dallas squad right now. They don't have an O-line either. They're not the Great Wall of Dallas anymore.
Again, they got the rookie Jalen Guyton they tried to add here in the draft. But to your point, not only with the offensive line, Dak hasn't looked great to start the year, got that big contract. And again, that running back room consists of Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Rico Dowdle, and Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, this is 2014. It'd be great.
It'd be great 8 years.
It'd be the best running back ever.
But you mix all that, right, and they lose a couple guys on defense. The big part of that defense being Dan Quinn, right? He ran that defense the last 5 or 6 years. Now the head coach with the Commanders. So you lose that coordinator. You lose some of those guys on that defensive side of the ball. And then also offensively.
Tyron Smith gone.
They look just out of whack here for Dallas. Matthew, what do you think if you're a Cowboys fan? What's the panic meter on the Dallas Cowboys after 2 weeks? Though they did get a win to start last week.
I mean, it's going to sound nasty work, but, I mean, it's per usual, isn't it? I mean, this is what they do. I mean.
I know. I'm getting kind of an early start this year. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, they started early, but, I mean, this is what happens, right? I mean, look, Dallas, I think they can right the ship. I think they'll.
Not this week.
No, not this week, but I think they'll eventually get their feet firm.
Okay.
I don't think they have a ton of things to be worried about. I think Dak will get right again. But look, the biggest issue, I think the two biggest issues for them is I agree with the defense, but I don't think Jerry Jones understands what he's got, because you bring Ezekiel Elliott in like you did a mic drop. Like, that dude spent, like, respect.
Great career. But, like, I mean, you might as well brought in Frank Gore. I mean, it's like. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I guess they wanted the familiarity with Dak, whatever, but we saw what he did in New England last year for a team that was one of the worst.
We saw what he did in Dallas before he went to New England.
Right.
Like, that's how I played this.
I mean, like, what are you bringing it in for a red zone guy? I mean, but you don't have a guy that's in between those lines that's like a Pollard that's like, can give you some. Pollard wasn't that great, but
I think recovery. He looks a lot better this year after that broken leg that he's.
This is where if you pick up J.K. Dobbins or you pick up a Gus Edwards,
like take a shot on one of those guys,
or you pick up even
DeAndre Swift.
Aaron Jones went to Minnesota,
or even Joe Mixon was supposed to go to Dallas.
Yeah, like one of those guys. Any of them.
And this is what you get.
Yeah, not looking good for Dallas here to start. And again, the Saints' big question with them coming in was that offensive line. That's looked pretty good through 2 weeks. They were projected to have one of the top 3 worst offensive lines in the league. They've been holding their own through 2 weeks. We'll see if that can stand. Of course, they have the rookie Talisa Fuaga that they drafted, I think 13th overall, who's done a phenomenal job. So we'll see, Matthew.
Look, this is going to be nasty work, but I got to do it. I can feel it.
What was you going to say?
Can we like, okay, we're talking about Bryce Young. We talk about a lot of the guys that go top 3 at QB, right? Yeah. We talk about Zach Wilson. We talk about Sam Darnold a couple years ago.
Trey Lance.
We got to talk about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, at some point,
wasn't even on the dock.
We gotta get to what this guy is at some point. Because Jacksonville, what is he? Is he a franchise guy? You don't know.
And I'll tell you what, Jason, that is a very good question before you go. And that's, again, Trevor Lawrence was one of, in terms of the scouting world in the draft. He was the #1 rated quarterback.
Water.
In terms of rating, you go on your ratings from 97 or whatever. He was the highest rated quarterback in terms of a draft prospect since Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck had come out those 2 years, and they were unanimous.
Who saw that? Because I didn't see that.
And again, and I will say this: 2 years ago, when they won that playoff game, they came back and beat the Chargers. He looked really good. last year he was hurt all year. I don't want to. Last year he was really banged up. So this year I think is the year, to your point, Matthew, where we have to figure that this is the year for him. But he's gone against 2 tough defenses the first 2 weeks of the year. I think we're going to see him get better the rest of the year. I really do.
I don't want to hear it.
It's been 2 weeks.
I don't want to hear it.
I'm not saying he's going to be the MVP, but I think we're going to see.
He goes against a tough defense in practice every day. I don't want to hear nothing he has to say.
That's a fact.
The Jags on paper have been a top 10 defense since he's been there, like top 10, top 15.
I don't know about that.
No, they've been middle pack defense. So he's not playing against bums every day. You understand what I'm saying? You know, the thing is this though, they gave him money too.
They absolutely did.
They put weapons around him. The problem was at first he didn't have weapons. But now it's looking like we can't really blame Urban Meyer as much anymore because he's still not producing.
Well, that's what this year they went out, they got Gabe Davis, they drafted Brian Thomas, who I love in the first round. He's looked really good so far. I think they'll get going here. I think to Matthew's point, this is the year they finally got stuff around him.
Is Calvin really still there? Is Calvin really there or is he somewhere else?
No, he's somewhere
else.
else.
He's Tennessee, never mind.
Yeah, so, I mean, they'll have Evan Ingram's hurt now.
Christian
We'll see
Kirk?
how that goes. Christian Kirk. And those other
Evan
2 guys,
Ingram
Brian
got
Thomas.
hurt
Yep.
again?
So we'll see. I think you placed Miami and Cleveland, Matthew, the first 2 weeks. Those are 2 playoff teams from last year.
Sure, but I'm just matching energy.
No, you're right, though. I agree 100%.
Because with Justin
and
Fields,
that's a conversation nobody else is having.
People were ready to kick dirt on that dude and say that, he can't play in this league. I was hearing he holds on to the ball too long. That's why he's getting sacked. The Bears' whole line's not that bad. Well, newsflash, it's bad.
It is bad.
It's bad.
If you watched the game last night, you know
guess who only has 4 sacks this year? He does. I've talked to Steeler fans. They say he is light years better than Kenny Pickett and anything they've had. And I'm not saying he's the reason why they've won 2. I'm saying he's it's the D. But pause. It's also the fact that he doesn't lose games for them, right? At least currently.
And again, that was kind of the issue last year.
He didn't lose games in Chicago either. He
turned the ball over a lot.
He didn't have enough. He didn't have enough of defense either in Chicago.
All right, so wait a minute. You love Caleb Williams. We did not like Caleb Williams coming out of this draft.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Has Caleb Williams looked like what people – because people were talking about Caleb Williams was supposed to be number 2 behind Trevor Lawrence, like as in terms of being rated to come in to the draft into the league. Mm-hmm. He ain't looking like it.
No, and you could say that for every rookie quarterback we've seen. The struggles have been across the board. We've seen some of the worst quarterback play in offensive play through 2 weeks than we've seen in
all
20
quarterbacks,
years.
Not even the rookies.
Yeah,
all
I mean,
32
it's kind of
quarterbacks.
crazy. And to your point, it was the same things that affected Fields. That Bears offensive line, which they thought was going to be better this year, has been. I mean, and it was awful. He was sacked 8 times last night and pressured even more. And to the point they went out, they got Keenan Allen, didn't even play yesterday. So they trade for him in the offseason. He makes it 1 game before he's out. Again, the running back has been DeAndre Swift hasn't been good either. I think Houston's a very good team too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that it's more on Houston than it is on Chicago.
Yeah, and I think Houston looks defense looks even better.
Houston is a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
we knew this already even at the last season.
Yeah,
but to your point again, when you get sacked 8 times, there's not much you can do. Yeah. But I thought, and again, I still think he should look better than he has through 2 weeks. But I thought Jaden would have looked better. I thought all those other guys would have looked better too initially. But there's a little bit of a learning curve, I guess, that we're seeing here early on when you don't play. Again, Caleb played a little bit in the preseason. Jaden played a few drives, but I think they had to get more reps in. I agree with you.
Caleb had a couple of stupid throws last night. He had a couple of throws that would have been touchdowns in the Pac-10.
Yes.
But they're interceptions in the NFL.
And again, that happens when you're running for your life, so I want to hold that against him. But he should have looked better week 1, too, though, to your point.
And I'm doing nasty work again because I'm going to tell you another guy we got to get out of here. We already seen enough. Will Levis is done. Get Will Levis out of here, dog.
I actually agree
this
with
boy is
that one.
Basuda, man.
I agree with
Get him out, man. Get him out.
And I'm one to give quarterback time to develop, etc. The things, and sometimes he looks really good. Sometimes he makes throws, and you're like, man, that was it. Look at that arm strength. That's a heck of a throw. He has a lot of Daniel Jones in him.
Daniel Jones.
The plays that he makes, like some of those, the play where he fumbled, where he lost him the game, where he jumped over and lost the ball.
Yeah, I don't know what
Dennis,
that was.
If we can have that, I'm gonna have Dennis do 2 things for us because Matthew just talked about. If we can get, Dennis has for us the Bryce Young trade package that they gave up to get Bryce Young, as well as the other deal that we were talking about earlier. And a little preview there.
A little preview.
What we're gonna have there, but.
Yeah.
Will Levis has made, if we can find that play where Will Levis fumbled, and here it is, trade compares. San Francisco, 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. Carolina gave up DJ Moore, 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and a 4th
Why you got to put San Fran business out there like that, man?
So, again, Carolina gave up a lot to go get Bryce Young, and it seems like that career is already over there as a starter, at least, in Carolina. So bad news for the Panthers going forward there. But Will Levis, that play was one of the most crazy plays I've ever seen.
Listen, it was so bad. The coach said,
Yeah,
saw
he
him on
was
the sideline,
screaming at
what
him.
the are you doing? You saw him mouth that on the sideline.
Yeah. Like, bro,
Like, whoa.
And-
what are we doing, bro?
And we saw him fall in the draft, for obviously some reasons. Scouts.
And we see why.
And we'll
Guys,
see
I
why.
have a question.
Yo,
Can y'all name a quarterback from Kentucky that's ever been good? Tim Collins, Jared Lorenzen, rest in peace? No.
Yeah, no.
no.
All right, then. That's my point.
Yeah.
So, again, Will Levis,
Their
the
basketball
Penn
school.
State transfer, lost the job to Sean Clifford, who was on a practice squad in Green Bay. Lost that job, went to Kentucky, and was a second-round draft pick.
And
So,
look,
good
and I'm
for
not
him.
just picking on those guys. I mean,
No,
look,
but those are
Bryce
you're right,
Young.
though.
We talked about Bryce Young.
That question has to be.
Yeah, I just believe that when you've seen enough, like we saw Trey Lance, right? We saw what we got. 3 first-round picks is crazy, and if we didn't get our guy Purdy in the 7th round, I don't think Lynch keeps his job.
Yeah, honestly, maybe not.
But listen, we took 6 games and we said Trey Lance ain't gonna work. I just think when you've seen enough, when you like New York Giants, what are y'all waiting for, bro? This dude
We can have this
can't
conversation
play,
all
bro.
night, and-
This dude is done. He's toast.
And I want to do this. I'm going to get you, and I'm going to do Matthew's list next week. So I want to get all the
Bro.
guys we're talking about. But off the top of my head, I know we only have a little bit of time. This
Yeah.
is off topic, but I like this conversation. I'll give you the guys right now that I agree with you in the
Yeah.
same exact way. Will Levis, I think, done. I don't
Yeah.
think he has it, right? Daniel Jones, I think, done.
He's been done.
Yeah.
I think Trevor Lawrence is okay. I'm not going to throw him on that list with those guys. No, Deshaun Watson, I think, is done. I think
Deshaun's
Deshaun
done.
Watson's
Deshaun
done.
done. He cooked.
Deshaun done.
So
He
I'm
cooked.
going to Deshaun Watson and
Sadly.
Bryce Young. That move was already made, so we get
Yep.
that one. He's done. That's what, 4 guys already?
I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna give you a wild card.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's done. That's why he's not playing right now.
He got a wife though, so
I mean,
he won on that, sir.
I mean, he's a goat in regular life. of
He's a
course.
goat.
But
Just saying, and again,
he's done.
Because the
We'll talk about this
biological
coming
didn't
year,
bother.
but-
Go ahead, Russ. Raise them kids, man.
My man,
Future, we got baby Future ready too,
got
yo.
Shaq songs.
Got
The
baby
Shaq
Future.
song, dog.
Shaq songs, cuz.
Well, we're running out, so let's do our final.
Yeah.
It's going to be the minute with Matthew Maurer and Jason McCall. So the minute with
Yeah.
McCall and Maurer here. We're going to power
here we
through for this final just to get through the rest of these games here. Let's start at the bottom. We talked about the Jaguars and Browns just so we
Yep.
get a couple sentences here as we move on. Here we go. Minute starts now.
Yeah.
Matthew, Browns and Jaguars. Browns get the win on the road. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Browns now 1-1. Jaguars 0-2. Thoughts on Deshaun Watson finally getting a victory?
Deshaun Watson cooked. Browns, that was one of the dumbest QB signings of all time. And you guys, I'm just letting you know, you set quarterback play back. All contracts are never going to be guaranteed now
Largest
because of this deal.
contract in quarterback
Congrats.
history. He could be benched soon. Browns.
Congrats, you did
Defense,
it.
Though is still some of the best, so they get a win. Defense powers them through. Jason Harbaugh improves to 2-0, one of the most highest winning percentages in NFL as a head coach. 26-3. They beat down what we already knew was going to happen against the Panthers. Panthers make the quarterback switch. What do you think about the Chargers 2-0 here to start?
We should have kept J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
I should have known that's what you were going to do.
I did. It is what it is.
And I'm going to stick with you again for this one here. Giants Commanders, Jaden Daniels gets his first win, 21-18, an ugly game in the NFC East. But the Commanders get a victory. What do you think?
Jay Daniels.
You know I'm high on Jaden Daniels and I'm high on the Commanders.
That was our number
Absolutely,
one.
yeah.
That was
Like,
our number
that's
one.
my number one pick. But I'm high on Commanders or the team overall. I think they're going to win a lot more
You have
games.
them
than
winning the
people-
division.
I do actually.
Yeah. Well, there they are, 1-1. They get the victory there in that one. Malik
Division
Neighbors
win.
also having a big game. So shout out to Malik Neighbors, a huge game for him. I think he's gonna have a
What
great
you
career.
mean?
that
Brian
started.
Robinson, 17 carries, 133.
Yeah, big shout out there. Good job there. Matthew, Seahawks and Patriots. Mike McDonald goes from Jason's squad to lead the Seahawks. They're now 2-0. They beat the Patriots in overtime, 23-20. Are the Seahawks for real over there in the NFC West?
Absolutely not.
Aaron Rodgers, we finally saw him get a victory back on the field. His first win in over a year and a half to
Yeah.
2
Played
years.
the whole game, yay.
24-17. Brees Hall with a big game. Braylon Allen, the rookie, with another big game on the ground. Both of those guys, 24-17. They beat the Will Levis Titans. What do you think about the Jets? A lot of hype coming in. A couple picks to win that division. They beat the Titans late by a touchdown.
I'll believe it when they be the real team. We saw week
Not
one.
buying this.
I'm not buying the real
Not
team.
sipping the juice yet. To the Colts and the Packers, Matthew. The Packers suffer that week 1 loss in Brazil. No Jordan Love here. Malik Willis comes in and gets the victory. 16-10. They beat the Anthony Richardson Colts, who are now 0-2. Packers able to stay afloat with all these injuries? You think they'll be able to do okay without Jordan Love here the next couple weeks?
I think Malik Willis was the QB that Tennessee should have waited on.
Could have been. Could be better than Will Levis. We'll see.
And
this week, 1-0 for Malik
And
Willis.
Anthony Richardson is a wish version of Lamar Jackson.
Oh, geez.
No, that's a wish version of Cam Newton.
Which version of Cam
Yeah,
Newton?
it could be that. We'll see and find out. I think you got some time left.
That boy got an arm, but just don't ask him to throw on a dime.
Or just have him run. Just tuck the ball and run.
And for all y'all that laughed at me for drafting Josh Jacobs, joke's on you.
A lot of work for him coming up. The Buccaneers beat the Lions, who have been bad, Jason, here through 2 weeks.
The midden waiting.
The Lions, they fall to 1-1. They're a tough loss here. Baker Mayfield, 2-0 for the Bucs. He looks like an MVP candidate early on, 20-16. Early on. Early
That's
on.
egregious.
What do you think about the Bucs? They're going to win the division again, back-to-back for Tampa?
Yes.
Over the Saints, looking good. Atlanta can get it together.
Because at the end of the day, the Bucs have a better defense.
Panic meter on the Lions here early on. I know they're just 1-1, but a tough loss here. They'll be good? They'll be okay? All right, they'll be okay. Saints and Cowboys, we talked about that. Cardinals and the Rams, Matthew. Marvin Harrison Jr., after getting 3 targets and 1 catch in week 1, finally lights it up. Somebody told Kyler Murray that he has Marvin Harrison Jr. on his team.
Apparently.
And he used him. A huge day for him. 2 touchdowns for Marvin Harrison and what was, of course, a career day, as we talked about. 4 catches, 130 and 2 scores. Kyler Murray puts up a huge day as well. Cardinals get their first win of the year. The Rams lose 4 now offensive linemen. They lose Cooper Kupp. They lose Puka Nacua. Are the Rams done already?
Pretty much.
With the first pick in the
It could
2025
be. I mean, it's looking that
NFL
way.
draft.
When do they start
The
sitting
Los Angeles
Stafford?
Rams select
When do they start sitting Stafford? Who knows, but they have lost almost everybody.
Quinn Ewers
on
from
that
University of
team.
Texas.
Bengals and Chiefs here, Jason, before we dive in. A couple more. Bengals, Chiefs. Chiefs get the win. I don't know if you guys watched the pass interference call late that put them in field goal range. Panic meter on the Bengals, who start off 0-2, it seems like every year. And are the Chiefs your guys' favorite to win the Super Bowl?
We know the Bengals will start playing until week 5.
So no panic on the
No
Bengals.
panic.
What
The
about
problem is
Chiefs?
this. The Chiefs get bailed out by the NFL refs every time they're down late in the fourth quarter.
Because they got to go.
And if you don't say that it doesn't happen, you are a blatant liar. It has been seen
Happened in the Super
too
Bowl
many
against the
games.
Eagles.
That boy to go.
It's been happening in too many
goat.
games. They have the NFL refs on payroll, and you can find me if you want to. I do not care. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am. It is the damn truth.
Kansas City 2-0. They lose Pacheco,
They're in trouble now.
though. They might be in trouble. No Hollywood, no Pacheco for
That's
the
gonna be
foreseeable
trouble.
future. Matthew, Steelers get the win over the Broncos.
Yep.
Bo Nix struggling a little bit, but as expected, the Steelers might have the best defense in the league to start this year. Fields with another win. Steelers 2-0 atop that division.
Yeah, and guess who's throwing 69%? Justin Fields.
There you go. Completing those passes early on, that Arthur Smith offense. Steelers 2-0. As we have now, Dennis, show this Will Levis video clip. We have to get this in because it is, of course, that funny. Let's have it up here on the screen. Here it is, a big moment for Will Levis.
Is at this moment.
Here we go. Oh, where are you going?
What is that, man?
What is that?
I mean, come on, bro. Yeah, bro.
Well, we'll see how much longer the mayonnaise lover,
man.
Will Levis, is starting. You
lover.
never heard about this? You didn't hear about that?
Him and Duke's mayonnaise? Oh, my.
He's got like a big spot. He puts
Sponsorship.
mayo, and he puts mayo in his coffee. He puts mayo on everything he
Everything.
drinks or eats.
Yes, he's a mayo sponsorship, bro.
Mayo in his coffee.
Yeah.
He had a
He's
mayo
sponsored by
NIL
Mayo.
deal.
Yep. And he has a mayo.
Mayo contract now, yeah.
It's a cologne. You ever
And
seen
a
it?
commercial, yeah.
If it ain't Hellman's, I ain't eating it. But go ahead.
Well, luckily, I don't have to see
Bring out
anything.
the best.
No
Bring
more
out the
Will
helmet.
Levis going forward. We'll see what happens there.
Shout out to his girlfriend.
Yeah, they brought a new girlfriend now.
I'm the ex. Yeah.
Let's dive into Monday Night Football. Eagles 5.5-point favorites against the Falcons tonight. Kirk Cousins was immobile last week. Couldn't move. They ran no play action. They
Per
ran
usual.
every pass out of the shotgun, every run out of the pistol. Was very, very a weird offense to see. They're looking to rebound on the road. Philly home opener tonight, guys. Before we get into some of the over-unders, picks for the game. Eagles are minus 5.5. Seems like a lot of points to me, but they are at home. What do you guys think?
Eagles.
Minus 5.5 taking the points?
Boy, I'm taking the points with the Falcons.
I was going to say, I know what you're going to do with the Falcons, and let's jump in now to the over-unders, and then we'll do our anytime touchdowns to start. Let's go with passing yards for Kirk Cousins, Jason, 226.5.
Over.
Gonna let it fly.
Easy
over.
money.
Mm.
Easy money.
No A.J. Brown tonight, Matthew. Devontae
Easy
Smith, 75.5 receiving yards.
You'll hit that.
There you go. Saquon Barkley in terms of receiving yards as well. Big touchdown, 21.5. Is he going to get over that out of the backfield, Jason?
Receiving?
Yeah.
Oh, he gets that in like 3 plays, yeah.
First 3 plays. Bijan Robinson receptions, Matthew, 4.5. Is he going to have 5 catches in this game tonight?
No.
Under there for there. Jalen Hurts rush yards, Jason, 41.5. They got him using his legs against the Falcons. Over, under.
Under.
Yep. Kyle Pitts receptions, got in the end zone last week. One of the few bright moments for that Atlanta offense. 3.5 catches for Kyle Pitts.
Yep.
There you have it. And then how about we're going to end it with an interesting one here. Darnell Mooney, a wild card at receiver. First year with Atlanta, 36.5 yards for Darnell Mooney. That's 1 catch for the speedster. What do you think?
Over, because right now, looking at Bet Rivers, that's at -117, over 36.5 yards.
There you go, heading the over. Let's go anytime touchdowns to wrap it out. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith, no A.J. Brown. I think he has a big game no matter what here. I think he's that good. They're going to isolate him, I think, offensively and get him some good stuff here. I think he gets in the end zone.
Give me Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, that would be nice, 2 consecutive weeks.
You know what? I'm gonna be really crazy tonight. Anytime touchdown?
Kind of game well?
Nah, I'm gonna go even crazier. Give me Dotson. Anytime touchdown.
All right, Jahan Dotson gets in the end zone. First touchdown is an Eagle tonight. I'm going with the Eagles minus the points as well tonight.
I'm sorry.
I got to see something out of Kirk Cousins.
I'm going outright.
Oh, money line victory.
Okay.
I don't think Kirk Cousins can move yet. We'll see what happens. I think the defense will be in a good spot. I think we'll see some points scored tonight, though. We'll see what happens.
Kirk Cousins' movement even look like?
Yeah, he never moves.
Yeah, he used to move a little bit. That Achilles ain't looking so good, but there you
Yeah,
go.
I don't know.
That's what'll do it for us
What
here
Kirk
on Monday.
Cousins
We will
are.
see you next week. We'll be talking to Jason right after that Dallas Cowboys Baltimore Ravens matchup, Fox Game of the Week.